And I think we're live. I think we're good to go with everything. Welcome, one and all, to the Friday anime live stream. Glad to have you all. I should move that slightly to the side so I can see. Yes. It's good to have the screens, good to have people here and around. And we will be jumping into everything here in a little bit. As I mentioned on the thing, we're going to be reviewing some manga this week, talking about the original Starship Troopers, why it's a big deal. Maybe talk about the anime adaptation a little bit. We're talking about cooking, some anime news, some recommendations, general and other sundry like that. I might also start digging into Tenchi Muyo. That'll be fun. So that is possible and probable. Let's go ahead and dig into the news here in a moment, because I think it is news time. Let's just dig in. Hello, Tonto. Let's do some news. Welcome to the latest anime news for the week ending May 18th, 2018. I love starting with new anime announcements, and we have got a couple. The manga Meshi Numa will be getting an anime adaptation in just a couple of weeks by the end of May. The story of an ordinary Japanese salaryman who only appears ecstatic when he's eating, a concept you may recognize from an anime earlier this year, will get a short anime adaptation on the new Anime Beans app. Now, Anime Beans features both regular TV anime and short anime formatted vertically, as in like portrait mode. And when I say short, I'm talking 10 episodes, each lasting only about 3 minutes long. And unfortunately, I'm sure it'll be Japanese only. Still cool, not complaining. You know, one of those things where, okay, whatever. Separately, Bang Dream, an anime about an all-girl band, will be officially getting a second season and a third, according to its Twitter account. They'll also be expanding the franchise into the Vibe Schwartz card game, I think I'm pronouncing that right, and Ogenki music arcade games, among others. Looks like this particular franchise is heating up, so get into that if you're interested. Yamato is also heating up, with the Star Blazers Space Battleship Yamato 2022 films receiving a TV anime adaptation premiering in Japan this fall. And apparently they won't just cut up the movies into TV episodes. There are 7 movies, by the way. The show has a new staff, including director Nobuyushi Habara of Fafner and Star Blazers 2199, with script supervised by Harutoshi Fukui, who wrote the original Gundam Unicorn novels and the screenplay for the latest Harlock CGI film. So pretty interesting there. We'll see where that ends up. Those interested in Mari Okada's latest film called Mokwaya, I think I'm pronouncing that right, When the Promised Flower Blooms, can now check out an English translated trailer thanks to Anime Limited. So just go and Google that. You'll be able to find it. Again, Anime Limited. Mokwaya. Meanwhile, the gritty period story Golden Kamui will be getting a special anime episode bundled with volume 15 of the manga when it releases in Japan this September. This new anime will animate the manga's Barato arc, which follows a conflict between a sniper and the Shinsengumi member Toshizo Hijikata. Kind of exciting there. So separate from the TV show that is currently airing. Moving on, I don't normally talk about... that's a spoiler. Oh well. I don't really normally talk about Japanese TV rankings, but this week I looked and I just had to note something. Of the 10 anime with the highest viewership, only 2 started this season. One of them is Yokai Watch, and the other is the new 2018 Gegege no Kitaro anime. That's right. All the others are either hugely long-running shows like One Piece or Sazai-san or Chibi Muruko-chan or whatever. So maybe it's time to give Kitaro a try. Who knows? Finally, this is going to hurt, but we have to get through it. Studio Ghibli held their farewell ceremony for Isao Takahata on Tuesday at the Ghibli Museum. Hayao Miyazaki and Toshio Suzuki, among others, offered their own eulogies and memories of their time together over the course of decades, Miyazaki explaining the origin of Takahata's nickname Paku-san. Gundam creator Yoshiyuki Tomino and legendary animators Yatsuo Otsuka and Yuichi Kotabe were also in attendance, along with numerous others in the film industry. Afterwards, the Ghibli Museum opened its doors to the general public for 3 hours, where they showed a special retrospective of books dedicated to Takahata, farewell tributes from around the world, and photographs of the legendary creator's and director's life. A fitting memorial for a man who operated at the pinnacle of the animator's art. All right. That's that. My chest always gets tight talking about Takahata. It's just, so sad to have lost him. How y'all doing? Hey Jay, hey Matt, hey Tandem, good to see you all. Got a lot on the docket tonight. Any new anime you guys been watching? I've been kind of hunkered down, finishing up reviews and projects and things along those lines. So, no, like I said, I keep talking about Nadia, but it's just not happening yet. I'll probably have to push off Nadia for a while and do some short stuff before I get into any longer works. In fact, I'm probably going to end up reading some manga and some books and kind of clearing the backlog of books before I dive back into anime, just because there's just so much. Like, I really need to dive in. Gundam, excellent Tandem, congratulations. I'm assuming it's original mobile suit, first Gundam, from what you said last week. Are you watching Gate? Cool. Eagle-eyed viewers might notice, back here we've got the stand set up. So that is the puppet stand, stained now, and with the puppets all set up on it, so very happy there, excited that all that worked out. I'll be using 2 puppets tonight for the dramatic reading, because the dramatic reading is a twofer tonight. Kind of a fun one. One of those weeks where I was going through the posts and I was like, nothing really. Oh, yeah, this is it. Like, this is the post for this week. So, kind of funny. But how you liking Gundam so far, Tandem? All right, let me dive into, I think, should I do the review first or the dramatic reading, or let's see here. Think I will do, oh, you know what? Well, we'll see how much time I have. What anime hit all the right notes but just isn't your cup of tea? I don't know how to differentiate those two, Matt. I'm sorry. If it hit all the right notes, it is my cup of tea. Yeah, unless you mean something that like is popular with other people but not popular with me. Like, I can recognize the quality, but I'm just not turned on by it. I think Evangelion, although again I haven't finished it, and I love elements of Evangelion, but I'm not the massive super fan that a lot of people are. Madoka Magica, although I would argue that, I mean, like I can point to why I think Madoka Magica is just problematic. Akira, for a long time, I could not get until I finally realized it is just apocalyptic. You know, it is a documentary of apocalypse. You know, it's not meant to be understood or comprehended. It's an emotional experience. But definitely not a huge fan of that. Ghost in the Shell 2 Innocence, the second movie. People just love that movie, and I found it very disjointed, and the philosophy in that just kind of thrown together, where I felt like it was just kind of there's actually a comic where somebody said somebody showed Mamoru Oshii taking like wiki quotes of philosophy and copying and pasting that into a document titled Ghost in the Shell Innocence Screenplay and saying done. That is what that felt like. What else just didn't really work for me? By the way, the Akira manga, completely different opinion on that. That is a really, really impressive thing. Oh, Jay, the Starship Troopers anime came out in the 80s. It is long gone. Yeah, it is very old. Let's see here what else that just kind of didn't click for me in terms of popular or successful anime. I mean, I would guess One Piece. Oh, Dragon Ball Z would almost be the canonical answer. You know, I just don't like Dragon Ball Z. Just doesn't work for me. Just doesn't click. Lots of other stuff there. Yeah, no problem, Jay. Just easy mistake to make. Hey, Game Escape. Good to see ya. Thanks for joining. Glad to hear it. Yeah, I'm going to be doing more complimentaries tonight. In fact, Starship Troopers will be the complimentary. Whoa. I'm trying to alternate it, so do like a manga and an anime and a novel and a movie and comics and just bounce around to different mediums each time. Other things that just didn't really work for me. I could say Gundam Thunderbolt. I can recognize the quality there, but just didn't click. 083 as well, Gundam 083. I just no. And I can kind of argue 083 where I'm like, here are the problems I've had, and when I talk to people about them, they're like, well, they don't. They recognize those things, but it doesn't really bother them, and so I'm like, okay, well, this is a flaw in my opinion. It's not just I don't like it. Anyway, other things I don't know. There's probably other. And Shonen in general, I guess, hit all the right notes, but just not my cup of tea. Whatever. Death Note, yeah, I never watched Death Note. I watched the first episode and was like, nope, I don't care about this character. This character is an asshole and I don't want to spend time with him. And I don't empathize with this character. I don't care about him. So, yeah. How big was the fuss for the 2011 Thundercats compared to the new Thundercats coming next year? I'm not familiar with how big the fuss is for the new Thundercats. I do know the 2011 one was a big deal. There were a lot of folks, really excited about that and posting about it online, and it was a definitely a topic of note at the time. People talking about the style. Anime fans liked the style. Non-anime fans didn't. It was one of those inevitable things. So kind of controversial in that sense. And then when the story just kind of didn't really excite people a lot. Ever watched an anime and didn't like it, but a few years later rewatched it and ended up liking it? Probably. Although I can't think of one off the top of my head. My opinions are pretty solid. I don't really go back and... there's probably stuff... Like I said, Akira. Akira is definitely the one, the canonical example. Ghost in the Shell, the first movie, is another one where I felt it was pretentious. I felt I didn't understand. I couldn't see the symbolism in the movie or the symbolism that was there. I didn't understand how it was fitting together, and it took other people doing reviews of that. The Patlabor movies, same thing, where just the ponderous nature of those films. I still don't like the Patlabor films in the sense of, I don't find them entertaining or interesting, but I now appreciate them, and I can go back and watch them and say, oh, I see what's going on there. I don't go back and watch them, but if I had to, that would work. But those are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. Black Lagoon, interesting. That's a good question. gotta be stuff. Give me 10 seconds. I think I need to adjust. I'm getting really hot in here. Time to adjust the thermostat. It's been raining all week, so it's really humid, and that just makes things warmer than they need to be, or than you think they are. Yeah, that whole weird humidity thing. It's not the heat; it's the humidity. I have not watched Black Lagoon. I think it's on my list for this year. Black Lagoon. One of these days, I'll get to it. So, all right, let's dive into. I think I will do the review. Yeah, I think it's review time.
These research studies explain how film experiences may help students learn increased amounts of new information, which is remembered longer, and which therefore may be applied efficiently to problem-solving situations as pupils progress from lower to higher grades. In the intermediate grades, the need for providing real experiences about things studied continues. Good teaching methods include the use of pictures, the chalkboard, models, and charts, usually before the learners turn to the pages of books for information. Some of the pupils can recall experiences of their own about pupas, larvae, and insects, and they can describe them to their classmates as they refer to charts like these. But for all the children in the classroom to really understand how things move and grow and develop from one stage to another, something else is needed. Something which can bring living experiences right into the classroom, experiences that are as lifelike as reality itself. What would happen if sound motion picture films were added as study materials in this classroom?
This is a short one, unfortunately. Today, I'm reviewing the Stellar 6 of Gingacho, the kind of manga that will naturally fall below the radar for a lot of fans. It's a slice-of-life shoujo manga released in the US around 2011, focusing on the everyday adventures of 15-year-olds. And I know what you're thinking. Right? But what initially drew me into the Stellar 6 was the concept. It's set in a shopping arcade, which is a section of street a couple of blocks long, lined with the kinds of shops where you buy everyday items like groceries. The story is focused on 6 kids, all born within about a year of each other, to families that all run shops in that shopping arcade. So they all grew up together, played together, went to the same school, and now that they're all in their mid-teens, they all work part-time at that same shopping arcade. Friends forever, so to speak. But here's the twist. They've just entered high school, and they've all ended up in different classes, some in different schools. For the first time in their lives, they're starting to drift apart. The first few volumes, these 3 volumes, focus on one of them, an always upbeat tomboy named Mike, who is determined to keep the group together by constantly pulling them into little adventures like helping neighbors find lost items and things like that. She just is absolutely convinced that she can keep this group together. Mike is the manga's heart. This is a sweet, cheerful manga twinged with melancholy, as the reader can see that Mike's crusade is frankly doomed. They are all going to grow apart to some degree, but she just hasn't grown up enough to face that yet. Now, if anything will turn people off to this manga, it's probably Mike. While not completely blind to life's problems, she's a relentlessly perky character who always sees the good in things. I did not find it annoying, personally, mainly because her best friend is a more down-to-earth boy who tempers her effervescence, so to speak. The art itself includes quite a lot of backgrounds in the panels, more than I'm used to for a shoujo manga. This actually works very well given the setting. You want to feel like you're in a cafe with them or scrounging around a back alley for a lost kitten. You need to be grounded. The author also gives us plenty of heartfelt facial expressions as well, Though the style shifts around so much, I didn't have a great sense of fundamental character design or how much a character is on model. I did find myself so charmed by the stories that I frankly didn't care. This is one of those shoujo manga that has some big plot points in store with a slow burn of character introduction and development to get there. You can see the author layering potential twists into the everyday stories of the characters. And that's the biggest problem. The Stellar Six was licensed by Tokyopop. Those familiar with the publisher's history will connect the 2011 publication date, and yup, I can see your eyes are going wide. After a series of struggles, Tokyopop manga basically shut down in 2011 and then reopened the following year with all new licenses. Sadly, the Stellar Six of Gingacho was a victim of that restructuring, and only these first 3 volumes out of the 10 released in Japan ever made it stateside. I can't even find a scanlation of this. This is all we have. So you'll have to content yourself with this bubbly, heartfelt, slightly wistful manga full of fun characters, and you'll have to wonder at their fates. And in a way, that's okay. I like the stories my imagination comes up with for these characters. Alright, that's that review done. That's nice. You guys ever had a manga like that or a story like that where you get partway through and it just ends and you realize, oh, they never finished this. Like, this is all I ever get. Crud. You know, tangent. It's just, this is the frustrating thing about Stellar Six. Is I really enjoy this. It's just really fun. And let me give you guys an idea of the art. Get a good indication. You know, definitely skilled drawing, effective. Yeah, pretty much all the characters, actually. You get some sort of Evangelion style, stuff. Yeah, exactly. What a limbo. The art style does bounce around a lot. There's kind of quasi SD, extreme close-ups, all sorts of stuff. But I just really, really love. Oh, yeah, I love you. Yeah. And there's some sweet, really sweet stuff in there as well. Sweet storylines, stuff about their childhood, how they all, get together. Here's Mike and the boy. And so one of the things about the storyline, we can get that focused in. Come on. Come on. No. There we go. Is that the boy, and I think this is modern day, the boy starts to have a thing for her. He clearly is starting to be, interested in her, and she has no clue, right? She just does not see it. She's just too much of a tomboy. That does not enter her head at all. And so it's one of the things they're setting up is that clearly there's going to be some love drama, and something there, but we just never, it never goes anywhere. It's like, and I'm just judging from what I'm reading so far and the level of just kind of emotion in the story, it's pretty clear that is going to pay off, right? There's all this kind of payoff building up to. So, oh well. The advantage though is, it's a quick read. You only pay $30 and you get everything there is. Just frustrating. All right. Let me transition over to, the complimentary. Welcome back to the complimentary. This is a segment where I talk about something that I think is really impressive and or cool in geekdom and kind of try to explain why that is. And today I'm talking about Starship Troopers, the original novel by Robert A. Heinlein. And you'll notice I have this in hardback. That's an indication of how much reverence I have for this book. And the first thing is to recognize that the movie is not the book. The movie is a very, very weird sort of Hollywood interpretation of the book that takes some of its messages and really Hollywoodizes them, for lack of a better term. The book is much more subtle, and the book is in many ways a lot more complex. Starship Troopers is set in a future where these aliens are in a war with humanity, and human society has developed into this strongly militaristic structure. So, for example, you are not a full citizen of that nation, of that culture, unless you have served in the military. And it's a very patriotic, very kind of military-focused thing. And what Heinlein does is he explores that. Starship Troopers satirizes it and says this is obviously ridiculous. Heinlein says, well, what would that do? What is a functional society where that is true? In other words, instead of making a joke out of it, he treats the concept with respect. I want to get that spit out there. It is also remarkable for the fact that the people fight in powered armor. This is arguably, I believe, the first case in science fiction of powered armor, i.e., in 1959 is when this was first released, the 50s, where the characters have this essentially giant suit of armor, essentially a mechanized suit of armor that they climb into. Think the suits in the Avatar, James Cameron Avatar film, the mecha suits, similar in terms of scale and size. And they fight in those, although the ones in Starship Troopers are fully sealed environmental suits and massively weaponized. So it was arguably, certainly a very early mecha and one of the very influential mecha stories. But what I love about Starship Troopers is that it is a story of this young man making his way through the society, going out to fight the aliens, and being in this very tough situation, being in this rigorous society, and the how that toughens you up, how that makes you a very tough person. So one of the things I like is again, a lot. It's easy to take this story as simply pro-military or anti-military, and I don't think that is Heinlein's intention here. It is an exploration of this, and you can take what you want from that. You see the effects and decide, is it worth it? In a sense, there's an element of, perhaps this is how mankind survives by creating this kind of environment. Who knows? So it is the kind of, and I say this because people watch the movie or see clips of the movie or whatever, and they hear about Starship Troopers as being this militarized society, and they assume it is either essentially conservative or liberal. And when I read the book, it was very much neither. Heinlein also has this I argue, unique ability in writing. Heinlein's prose flows like water. It is very difficult to analyze Heinlein's writing because as soon as you start reading it, you suddenly find you're 20 pages in. It just jumps out into your brain. It's amazing. So that's one of the nice things is you can pick this up and just kind of read it. It will flow very easily. And it's also a book where Heinlein generally his stories moved relatively slowly. His stories tended to unfold at this, I don't want to say, deliberate pace is not unreasonable, whereas Starship Troopers moves much more quickly. It is not quite an action story, but there's definitely a lot of action in it. And so it's the kind of thing where there's a lot of things being thrown at you, and even when it's not action, because of the nature of the society and how people are behaving, things happen that will kind of surprise you and kind of thrown out at you, which Heinlein doesn't just explain. Nobody says, as you know, Bob, when you turn 18, XYZ happen. No, it's just these things happen, and you're supposed to figure that out from context, what's going on. I don't like to make favorites. I don't like to list favorites, but there are two books that are my two favorite books of all time. This is number 2, to give you an idea. It stands head and shoulders above the other books I've read, at least in terms of fiction. And yeah, I just gotta say, I was blown away by this book. Might not be for you, that's fine. But it is definitely interesting, and also interesting for its treatment of mecha, essentially, and creation of mecha, so to speak. For you anime fans, there was an anime adaptation of Starship Troopers made in the 80s, late 80s, I believe. It could have been the early 80s. Must have been the early 80s. Yeah, early 80s. And it's not... it has the powered armor, but the aliens are tentacle monsters. Instead of more like, more relatable aliens as they are in the book. And in the book, you don't really meet the aliens, as I recall. They're just kind of this force, but they're definitely not tentacle monsters. So they kind of got the aliens completely wrong in the anime. But you do get to see some of the material. It's never been released over here in America, as far as I'm aware. There are fan subs. And it was also done by Sunrise. So, for example, most of the voice cast worked in Gundam at some point on the Japanese side. So that's fun. Anyway, that's Starship Troopers. I hope you find that helpful and useful. And yeah, this book just impresses me all to death. That's the complimentary for this week. Why is that? Oh, we'll do that. Pull that back in. It is hot in here. I'm already sweating. It's only been half an hour in here. Lots of rain. And lots of other stuff. Thanks, Tonto. I really love doing that segment. Starship, there it is. Back in the library. So I've seen folks try to defend the Starship Troopers movie. And I'm not saying the Starship Troopers movie is not entertaining, right? It can be a fun ride, but I think it fundamentally simplifies what is there. Yeah, exactly. Tentacle monsters. Imagine that. But it becomes very one-sided and very simplistic. Big shock, Hollywood adaptation. And I think people assume the book is that way. Nope. And it's one of the problems is people then assume that Heinlein is, on one side of the political spectrum than the other, and that's not really accurate. A good writer gives you characters in a situation and allows you to extract your own morals out of it, and your own, decision out of it, instead of forcing a particular political opinion down your throat. Anyway, that is just my view. Speaking of forcing opinions down your throats, I think it's time for dramatic reading. What do you think? Let's rant about Anime Expo. Oh yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, exactly. The anime adapted the title but not the content. And again, the anime kind of gets the mecha right, but not really the aliens. And it gets the tone right, I will argue. But the aliens, and to me it's important because the aliens, you don't, as I recall, the book does not establish very much at all about who the aliens are, and it's hinted that they may be just another race in the galaxy that we happen to be at war with, and they're very much not tentacle aliens, xenophobe tentacle aliens. They're just another race, and so by making them either bugs or they may be like insectoid in Starship Troopers, I forget, but it is kind of heavily not heavily implied, but it is they leave a lot of space open to kind of make you wonder, are these really what's going on here? So I think that's a fundamental thing. And again, it's like, why do you have to make them tentacle monsters? Why not just make them other creatures that are just firing guns or whatever? It seems like an odd change to make when it doesn't really add anything. All right, so we've got this guy. I think we'll have this guy as well for the dramatic reading. And to be fair, I mean, never go into an adaptation of anything expecting the original, right? When I complain about these things, it's more to correct that assumption in other people. It's like, this is not going to be like the original, and here's why, and here's what's different. Those differences can be good, they can be right. I do not want to see a Batman comic translated panel by panel to the silver screen. It just doesn't, it just doesn't work. You need to have tell your own story, tell your Batman Begins, tell your Dark Knight Returns, or whatever. That's going to work better. Yeah, and in fairness, Matt, themes don't, intellectual movies don't make a lot of money, historically, and a big budget science fiction movie has to make a lot of money. So there has to be spectacle. It has to be big and exciting. And the challenge is to marry the two. Pacific Rim is a great example, which managed to marry the spectacle with the human drama and the character and the emotion and so forth. All that was there. But you have to consciously weave the two of them in. So, in other words, I don't begrudge them simplifying the story. I don't begrudge them finding ways of telling the same story with some shortcuts, right? You're not going to get all of the depth of the book into there, but when they take, of the three films, they take the three themes, they take one. It's like, come on, really? There's definitely been sci-fi stories where the aliens are us, right? Yeah, and that exactly, Matt, is that Jurassic Park is about human hubris. It's about arrogance, fundamentally, and that translates quite well into the original Steven Spielberg film. That is, and I by the way, I read the book, the original Jurassic Park book. I probably have it here somewhere, don't I? Crichton. Science Fiction C. Bradbury. Michael Crichton. I do not. That's a shame. Not. Yeah. Oh well. But I read the novel and I remember being like, yeah, this movie, it simplifies it down, right? It doesn't include all the scenes, it doesn't include all the stuff, and there is an important twist, an important sequence in the book that I think would have made for an effective sequence in the movie, and that I think really underscored everything, which did not make it in there, which I thought was unfortunate. But like you say, it became spectacle, and it became about all this exciting big stuff happening. But Jurassic Park is about do not meddle in things that nature. If nature killed something, it probably should remain dead. Is basically the theme of that. Don't meddle with really powerful. Don't. And one of the themes too is beware of leapfrogging in science, right? Once you have a technology, don't jump straight to dinosaurs. Don't create Jurassic Park immediately. Create one dinosaur and see how that lives through a few generations, and you can continue on, kind of expand from there. Yeah. I did not see the Ender's Game movie. It is not a that was, and Ender's Game is one of my favorite books of all time. It's not one or two, but it's definitely up there. It's probably number 3, actually, I would argue. But I didn't see the film, so I don't know, Jay. I should at some point, but I was not in a movie viewing mood when that came out, so it just kind of skipped me by. And it's one of those things, and I heard enough negative stuff about it that I was like, okay, I don't need to jump into this right now, right? Like, I don't know. And they were talking about the Ender's Game movie for a long, long time. I remember when The Phantom Menace came out, Jake Lloyd was rumored to be cast as Ender. So they were definitely, working on that for a while. So I don't know why they when they made the live action movie, if suddenly things change and they had to do it right away, who knows? Ender's Game is another great example of a story where like that you need to weave in the themes and the spectacle. That cannot be a spectacle film, or it will completely lose its point and its structure. But one of these days I'll probably watch Ender's Game. It's just, the novel version is just so psychological. It's all about Ender's internal emotional journey. So it's definitely its own thing. But yeah, it's definitely Ender's Game, one of the great science fiction novels of all time. All right, let's laugh a little bit. No. Okay. Favorite sci-fi book is Blade Runner. I can understand why the movie is your favorite book. I don't understand why Android Dream of Electric Sheep is your favorite book. Not that it can't be, but I find that very interesting. What about Do Androids Dream just works for you so much? Because to me, Do Androids Dream was, the book is kind of scattershot. There's a lot of different things in there, but they don't really all feed together. And the whole dial and emotion machine and all that kind of stuff. Maybe just when I read it when I was pretty young. So I'm curious as to how the book hit for you. That's intriguing. Yeah, please dig into that, please. Meanwhile, we'll do some dramatic reading. Yeah, the original movie definitely an amazing achievement. I think it has its problems, but all right. This is a dramatic reading of an anime post from 20 years ago in a thread about Anime Expo, which devolved into a discussion of the practices of something that had happened at the charity auction that year. And we'll start with this one. Confusing and interesting? Fair enough. I can get that. So you felt it was intentionally, and I'm going to cut this out. You felt it was kind of intentionally kind of a stew of lots of different things, all kind of bouncing against each other. All right. Should I read it from there? Can I just? You know what? I'm going to do it. One sec while I pull up. Still getting a sense of the best way of reading the dramatic readings. It's actually a little easier if I have it over on this laptop. Sorry, it's easier if I have it over on this laptop. So we'll do it that way. Auction items. So I need to stop there. Okay. Oh. Transition. No. Transition. Sorry, terrible joke. No one will get that. Anime Expo. Is it worth it? Well, I know the one thing I didn't like about AX97 was the fact that staff members, along with VIPs, were bidding during the auction. It kind of creates an unfair advantage against the fans who are bidding on those items, especially against fans who had to pay to get into the expo and whose incomes are nowhere close to those of the staff or VIPs. Remember, most fans are college students, are people who have just graduated college who have certain debts to worry about. Can you say tuition? A good example of who was bidding was when the photographer who held half the items bid on half of them. Not only did he, as well as other staff and VIPs, get special privileges, the staff and VIPs ended buying about 90% of the auctioned items. Again, charity auction. I know I was not the only person who was utterly pissed about what went on. Plus the obnoxious remark the representative from the charity made after he won the last item was uncalled for. Just some remarks about what a lot of people didn't like about the expo last year. We're not done. Oh, that doesn't work. Just FYI, the photographer was a volunteer. Everyone is a volunteer. We aren't Creation Con. Anime isn't a big moneymaker. We have more than 150 people volunteering every year. All of the money AX makes goes back to you, the fans, in the form of a $30,000 site, a $10,000 film program, $15,000 in ticket costs of guests of honor, $20,000 in equipment rental, down to even $750 for the itty-bitty badge holders that you wear. All of us pay most of our expenses out of our own pockets. At AX93, receipts were so far down that I put out $20,000 out of my pocket to keep the convention alive because I believed in fandom. Still not done. You younger kids are just too materialistic. Us members of the older generation didn't grow up with the same set of ethics that the fan-subbers have. We do it because we care about anime, and we want to bring other fans in and provide for the fans we know out there. We don't have to make a quick buck from it, or even cover every cost that we rationalize out. So yeah, someone has a chip on their shoulder. Hello, Three Apple Trees. Hey, Spin. Hey, Daniel. Anyway, well, it was not a big moneymaker in 1998, certainly. I mean, Mike, I think it was Mike. Mike was correct in his, numerical analysis that anime cons, certainly back then, were money losers. But still. Somebody had a little bit of a stick up their butt, so to speak, kind of like those puppets back there. But, yeah. I just love that, us members of the older generation didn't go up with the same set of ethics that these younger people have. We do it because we care, Us older fans, we care. You don't care about anime. Uh-huh. And what's sad is, again, the first half of that was bordering on like a reasonable put down, where it's like, look, cons require money, and they, we're not getting rich off of them, right? People putting on cons are not wealthy. Certainly not. I mean, they may be well paid through their full-time job, but cons generally do not. Cons almost always are, put on an essentially volunteer basis. But yeah, oh boy. And of course, the deeper thing is it's a charity auction. Who the fuck cares who was bidding on it and who got it when the money goes for cancer research? In fact, there was a much better later response by Mike saying, "So, you're basically saying less money should go to sick kids with cancer." Really? And the person who initially, eventually apologized and said, "Oh, fair enough." But still, just kind of that back and forth was a little. People got a little upset with each other. Yeah, Comic-Con's big business, definitely. Again, I have no idea how much. I mean, and it's the problem. What's revenue versus profit, right? Obviously, a lot of money flows through there, but it's also an extremely expensive event. So I'd love to know the breakout. I know there was some controversy a year or two back about Otakon, and about just like how much money they make and where that money goes. And they actually ended up doing a panel explaining how the money breaks down, and just what it costs to do a convention. I wasn't able to go to that panel, unfortunately. I think I was doing another panel at the time, but yeah, it's interesting. Which again is not to say that people don't make money off cons, but every con I have, every con in which I know the people running it, I've asked them things like that, and they're like, this is a wash, right? The money we get in pays for the convention, and that's about it. Maybe the con will pay for dinner, right? At the con, you'll get, and obviously hotel rooms. The hotel will give you hotel rooms typically for your main staff, but beyond that. And again, it's not that it's not that the person was ridiculous for making the assumption. It was jumping to the conclusion that then obviously these people are all millionaires and stealing things. So Otaku Coin, I've actually been getting the emails about that. Otaku Coin is based on the idea of making setting up a cryptocurrency specifically for buying and selling anime and manga and general otaku merchandise. So the idea is that there is one currency you can convert dollars into and yen into and so forth and so on, buy stuff with it, and you buy it with Otaku Coin. The primary advantage to that being, so what we'd have to do is various merchants would have to set up Otaku Coin payment systems, and then consumers would have to do that. The advantage is that you don't have to deal with exchange rates. You're not, if you want to buy something from Japan, it's something that becomes a lot less expensive for an American to buy stuff from Japan, because you don't have to convert dollars into yen. It is just this amount in Otaku Coin, and you just pay that much. So that is the ideal, and they're currently going through all the processes to make sure that can be done effectively and correctly with all the right safeguards in place technologically. And that would be kind of the ideal, and they're hoping to launch later this year. I think fall of 2018 is their current target. It came up in the news this week, but I was like, there's it's not firm enough yet to really make it a news item. Right? They're still planning it out and seeing it, but the advantage is with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, folks will come up with the idea and just launch it. And just throw it out there and see what happens. But they're really taking a long-term approach of trying to build it and make it work right. Doesn't mean it's going to work. It might fail completely. But at least they seem to be taking the proper steps to plan and release it properly. And cryptocurrencies are not hard to set up. You basically download some software, connect it, click some drop-downs to connect it to some to the appropriate exchange server, not like Microsoft Exchange, but money exchange server. And then you can essentially pay into it, use basically PayPal to buy coin, or a similar thing, check or whatever, digital check. And then that'll give you an address, Otaku Coin address. And then when you go to your, your website that sells anime stuff, you just copy and paste that address in there, and they say, okay, we're going to withdraw that money from your account, more or less. it's fantastically more complicated than that behind the scenes. But that's the experience you have, is you just have this little piece of software running that has this address, and you connect the money to it, and you're good to go. So again, if it works, then it should make buying anime stuff cheaper and more friction free. And it would also provide a targeted marketplace. One of the advantages is you can just kind of Google otaku coin merchant, and find all the folks that support that, and then you kind of know, okay, here's people selling anime stuff, as opposed to having to kind of Google around to lots of different places. Not that would completely centralize things, but again, it provides kind of a marketplace, another marketplace, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. And I know they have a few anime merchants in Japan on board who are like, yeah, we would support this out of the gate. So you could actually buy stuff, and now you still have to pay shipping and all that stuff, right? But it doesn't suddenly make everything cost $1, but it's better than nothing. All right, so that's a review. On the news, I wanted to do, what's the other thing? There's no great debate tonight because I have a longer Otaku no Cooking. You're welcome, Tonto. Hope that's helpful. Oh, that's right. That's going to be different. Let me pull up that. And yeah, we'll just try this. One sec. See if this is worth doing. So I want to start doing a deep dive into Tenchi Muyo, and kind of do like what I did with Lane and Boogie Bop Phantom, do a series of videos kind of explaining what Tenchi is and why you should care. And then now, obviously, there's not as much depth to Tenchi Muyo as there is to those series, but do some orientation for people. See, I think I'll do this. I don't have this printed out and pasted into the. Well, you know what? I can do that real quick. So let me try this. No, Yeah, we'll try it. No. Stand by. So let's see what happens. Pull this up over here, and then no, I don't need to pull this up over here. Sorry, you pull it up over here. Go to my documents, and we're going to dig into Tenchi Muyo a little bit. Just again, sort of an orientation video for those curious about the franchise. I think it'd be helpful. Tenchi into anime, that's awesome. What are my thoughts on people who think cryptocurrency as the money of the future? I don't think it will be the money of the future. I do think it will be a money of the future. There are enough merchants and enough places in the world that actually use cryptocurrency, and there are enough places where cryptocurrency is actually useful, like countries where their actual fiat currency is less stable than Bitcoin, which seems kind of crazy, but still. So that's one of those things where it's interesting. But I think this idea, let's all be honest, you're not going to replace fiat currency with cryptocurrency. That's just, that's not how this works. It's like people saying that, in 10 years we'll all be in self-driving cars. That people driving their own cars will just be completely gone. It's like, no, that's not how it works. The future becomes broader and more complicated. We get more things, not fewer things. It's very rare for something to come along and completely replace a prior technology. For everyone talking about the death of radio, radio is still there are still, I forget the exact way it's phrased, but there are more people listening to radio in a given day than watch TV in a given day. Because just radio is everywhere. And we listen to it in the car, we listen to it, there's just radio. We just don't think about it. So, So yeah, I'm not convinced the cryptocurrency is going to eradicate, but I think it is a useful technology. I think people will be using cryptocurrency and will be using things like cryptocurrencies, and especially blockchain technology. That's going to be huge. I think retail. I'm sorry. Real estate would be a big thing for cryptocurrency, for blockchain. But we'll find out. Right, and I need a new one here. What do I do? Can we add? Yeah. 1 second while we reset this all. I did not see the Speed Racer movie because I don't like Speed Racer, and so why would I watch a movie about it? And that's just my view on that. Nothing against Speed Racer fans, but that was one of those things where I was like, I have no interest in this. All right, so we'll try this as a video, and we'll see if this covers it. Basically, I typed up my thoughts on this, and we'll see if that actually makes a useful video. If I have to pause or something like that. Oops. Actually. You may have heard of Tenchi Muyo, a big anime franchise back in the day. It keeps coming back again. What is this thing? Well, no. Well, Tenchi was a huge anime franchise, primarily running in the 1990s, that managed to get a lot of things right. Adventure, comedy, action, little character development, little romance. It focuses on Tenchi Masaki, a Japanese teen boy who ends up living in a house full of cute girls, all of whom are interested in him in various ways. Sounds good, right? Why are they interested in him? Because Tenchi has powers and can wield a lightsaber-like sword and do all sorts of other cool things if he could just calm himself down enough to actually use his powers. Of course, this attracts the attention of all sorts of entities and alien beings, from space pirates to ancient alien entities. And that's one of the reasons why it's a little hard to talk about Tenchi, because it crosses a lot of genres. Is it a romantic comedy? Well, Tenchi's not really interested in any of the girls. Is it an action-adventure show? Yeah, but a lot of the episodes are straight-up comedies. Is it a science fiction show? Yes, but it's not really about that at all. Is it a coming-of-age story? Well, there's not really enough time spent on Tenchi himself for it to qualify as that. In other words, it's complicated. It's also tough because several different Tenchi series are reboots using the same characters with new backstories. There's really no attempt at a unified timeline across any of the Tenchi series, right? What is interesting is that it's widely considered to be the first proper harem series. Others had the same concepts before, and it's not quite your typical harem show, but I have a whole other video on that topic. I didn't like that at all. That video did not go together very well. I'm going to rewrite that and do it some other time. So yeah, that was, no, never mind. I can do better than that. That was a worthwhile experiment, but no. Is Toonami relevant anymore to create new anime fans? Absolutely. No question. Do not underestimate the power of basic cable. There are a lot of people out there who only watch TV on basic cable and will stumble across anime through Toonami. Definitely. It's not as big as it was, obviously, but I think there's still a lot of people who come in through those venues. And also, Toonami is a name brand. So when something comes out on Toonami, that attracts headlines and attention and so forth. So it's easier to get people in from, oh, Toonami's on it. I've heard about Toonami, right? Yeah, Speed Racer is a great example of something where that is not my cup of tea at all. Speed Racer just, I have no... that hits none of my buttons for whatever reason. Um, yeah, exactly. Tenchi is a genre of its own. Well, there's other anime kind of like that, where it's just, Rurouni Kenshin is a great example, where it has romance and comedy and action and adventure and drama, and just all these things all at once. Naruto, I would argue, also. It's obviously more action than anything else, but there's a lot of genres all, thrown into that Naruto pot, going around. So you get that occasionally in anime. Read or Die, the mini franchise of Read or Die, is kind of its own weird combination of genres. Anime is pretty good at mixing genres, oddly enough. Tenchi definitely is a kind of a canonical example of that sort of melting pot concept, which just seemed to work very well. And it's one of those things. And let's be honest, Tenchi Muyo, its popularity right now is in a lot of ways riding on its success early on. Anime, the most recent anime series are being supported by the fans from the 90s. You're not really getting a lot of new fans of the franchise. Well, I've already checked out the new Legend of the Galactic Hero remake, the first episode of that, and I liked how they restructured the first episode. I thought that made more sense and was more dramatically interesting. But it was still just too antiseptic for me, to be honest. Probably not. Yeah. Again, interested, but it just doesn't feel like my cup of tea. Too ponderous. Too much people standing around talking. As you know, William, not you, William. As you know, William, there's there's quite a lot going off in that star system. That is true, Robert. But unfortunately, I have a plan. Well, you always have a plan. Yes, I do. And that's in episode 1, right? That's going to happen in episode 1. But it just kind of, and what I've read makes it sound like that is a trope of that franchise. It's kind of a slow, quiet, very conversational thing, and that just doesn't appeal to me. Have you checked out older anime art styles like you would see in anime like Better Man? Oh no, I like the intelligent stuff, but I don't like that presented as people standing around talking. Right? Like to me that is in a sense a lazy way of presenting that information. I'd rather read a book. If you're going to do that, write a book. I watch animation for the animation, for visuals, for all that stuff. And when it's basically people standing around talking and then shots of lasers firing off ships, and here's a bunch of lasers firing off these ships, and here are other ships where lasers are firing off those, and some of them are exploding. Like that was episode 1, and it just wasn't. It just did not come across very interestingly. Again, what I love about Gundam is that it is the characters' actions combined. I'm gonna start going off on Gundam here. Look at the first episode of First Gundam, where you see how the soldiers who are sent in by Char to investigate Side 7, I think they're on, how when they go on, they talk to each other about what's going on while they're investigating, while they're pulling out things, and they're saying, "Here's what I see. I see a mobile suit over there. We should attack right now." And the guy jumps into his suit and starts attacking. The guy's, no, that's crazy. Don't do that. And he says, Char would do it. He's always pushing forward. So it's the actions of the characters combined with their dialogue that is interesting, because you're wondering, wait, is he right? It sounds like Char is going to reward this and he's going to like this, but then when you cut back to Char, he goes, idiot, what is he doing? So it is seeing how all those things, progress and come together that to me is interesting. It is, spoiler alert, when Char and Garmazabi are closing in on White Base, and Char, reaches underneath and fiddles with something underneath the dash and walks out, and then Garma closes in on White Base and discovers that things have changed, whereupon Char bursts out laughing, and it is not just Char standing there saying something. It is Char has done something and he's talking. And he is explain. It is the behavior that excites me, combined with all that stuff. But yeah. And again, Legends of Galactic Heroes might have that. I just wasn't seeing it. Do you think Toei's having a hard time finding a new blockbuster after the end of Naruto? The only big thing was Dragon Ball Super. They are, but they're not going to. And I think Boruto is going to do fine. Boruto is still going to be a blockbuster. The problem is, and I think Toei isn't as worried about this as anime fans are. I think anime fans are kind of overblowing this. Toei and Shonen Jump stumbled into the situation where they had Bleach, Naruto, and One Piece all running simultaneously and all super popular. There has never been another time in history when Shonen Jump and Toei had 3, or even really 2, huge shonen titles that were, hundreds of episodes long running simultaneously. So I think Dragon Ball's, they're going to have Dragon Ball Super or something else. That they're never going to get back to that time again. That was a fluke, basically. We get some of the lost Macross series in the U.S. because I do some of the older Gundam series come to the North America. Probably not until Harmony Gold changes their policies. They have been keeping Macross from these shores for these many years, and I doubt them changing that, especially with the live-action adaptation of Robotech still working its way through the Hollywood machine. So I think they're going to continue to lock down Macross until that changes, and I'm trying not to be bitter. If I were in their shoes, I would probably do what Harmony Gold does. It's just really frustrating to us Macross fans. But no, I don't think we'll see those soon, sadly. I very much wish we would. It is quite frustrating. All right, so we've done the review, we've done the news, we did dramatic reading. I tried to do that, but that didn't really work out. I did a complimentary. So let's do some cooking. Which means I need to transition over. So let's transition over. As usual, I've got a quick clip. How long is this clip? It's like 3 minutes. Cool. And meanwhile, I will switch over to the kitchen. So stand right there. Stay where you are.
So let's get down to some numbers. How long does it take to make a work of anime? It's about a year for a movie, because you get a lot of quality. A TV show will take about 6 months for a 13-episode TV series, and about 9 months for a 26-episode anime TV series, which, if you ask me, is insane. When you think about how many drawings are in 26 episodes of anime, the idea that you can produce that many drawings in 9 months is nuts, but they somehow managed to do it. And we'll talk a little bit about how. So, roughly speaking, you'll spend about 3 weeks actually animating the episode, and they'll go 2 months from completion of the script to delivery of the finished episode to the TV station or what have you. To be clear, what that means is they're always working on 3 episodes simultaneously, right? So they're working on episode 1, 2, and 3. 1 is done, they start working on 4, and they just kind of keep on cycling through that way. It's kind of crazy. So how much does it cost to make? I went online and pulled budgets for a variety of anime series and converted the budgets from yen in that year all to $2012. So it's all consistent dollar amounts as though they were all made in 2012. So original Macross 1982 cost about $185,000 an episode, Evangelion only $100,000 an episode, Bebop $200,000, One Piece 142, Gurren Lagann only about $100,000. I haven't seen a budget that goes below about $70,000 an episode. It's just hard to produce animation for much less than that. So you're talking between $2 and $8 million, roughly, for an anime series. Let's contrast that a bit. Little Mermaid cost $80 million in 2017 dollars. So yeah, so they're making it pretty darn cheap. Let's contrast that with American TV animation. One episode of Futurama costs $900,000. SpongeBob costs $600,000 an episode. And Avatar, $1.2 million per episode. And if you're wondering how it can be that expensive, watch an episode of Avatar and how many drawings per second they throw at you. Those characters are constantly moving compared to anime. They were just pouring money into it. Because Nickelodeon, they can afford it. So to give you an idea, you could get an entire new Cowboy Bebop for 6 episodes of Futurama. You could get a whole nother Evangelion for just over 2 episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender. In terms of cost. Yeah.
And if all goes well, I think we're back. Let me double check over here. We start this. Make sure we've got video on this side. So 1 second while I just resynchronize over to this camera and computer, and then we can start everything. Do we also need... Yeah, okay. I think we're good to go, although I'm not seeing. It hasn't quite jumped over yet, but we'll find out. Okay. I'm reasonably confident that we are actually live over there. All right. So yeah. Do that. All right. Well, we'll just do it. Welcome back to Otaku no Cooking, where today we are making nikumaki for the very first time. I'm just going to try this. Nikumaki is basically vegetables wrapped in like prosciutto or thinly sliced pork or bacon. We're going to use bacon. And then pan-fried in teriyaki sauce. I don't know about you, but I'm drooling already. So first off, we're going to need to prepare the vegetables. Typically, you're going to have carrot sticks, asparagus stalks, and string beans cut in pieces. But for this, I hate asparagus. So I'm just going to use the carrots and beans. We're going to prep those. So let me just grab a board, and we will start prepping these. I also need a knife, and I need a vegetable peeler. 1 second, I forgot to pull that out before we began. And I have down here in my drawer, near the bottom, I'm sure. There it is. Okay. So, yeah, we got some bacon we're going to use here for this. We're wrapping in bacon, which means normally they're 4 inches, which is pretty wide. I'm wondering if, because the problem here is that they're supposed to be kind of wide, and then you cut them. So we're going to end up with, I'll just make them short. So let me go ahead, and I just have a carrot here, which I'm going to cut in sticks. So we'll start by just peeling the carrot. And then I will cut that into strips. Should be fine. Then we'll cook these. Just in the microwave. Just like covered bowl in the microwave. And then I think, yeah, you zap it for like 1 minute. Should be fine. So I need basically bacon-sized pieces. We want about there. Nice carrot. And we'll cut off the end. Nothing good can come of that. So I need some pieces here, so I'm going to cut this in half. Now they don't say how thick to make the pieces, but I'm assuming we're going to need them pretty thick. I'm just going to cut these. And I'm not going to need all of these. I mean, these are pretty big. So let me just cut these in pieces. I'll probably do that into thirds. We'll just do a couple of these to get a sense of what we're doing. This I can probably do in, well, there. And then can I cut those? We'll try to cut those in further pieces. Probably easier if I do this, like this, and this, and then, well, yeah, like that. All right, that's a fair number of those, and then because in gold, pardon. So, well, you know what? I'll do one more. Just to be kind of crazy. So I'm just cutting this in half and then cutting that into further pieces. Also cut it the other way. Nothing too crazy here. Alright, so we've got our carrot sticks. And like I said, the rest of these will go to the side for now. Clean countertops, by the way. Then we need the beans. I'm going to rinse those beans and then cut them up. So we're just going to make sure they get nice and rinsed off. There, we'll cut these in half. Ooh, that one's already cut in half. Okay. So just rubbing these of anything. They should have been cleaned in the store, but just in case there's anything remaining on them, we'll go ahead and cut those down. I also have a pan over here that we'll be doing this in. So once we have these cooked, we'll roll these up and then make our teriyaki sauce. It's basically teriyaki sauce plus some sugar, which I ain't complaining about. Sweetened teriyaki sauce. This is going to be quite the recipe. Hey, Blue. Yep, we're just digging into a taco no cooking. All right, so ooh, there's some brown there. I don't like brown, so cut that off. Good chance to check your veggies, make sure they're good. These are actually a little longer than those carrots. That's pretty long for a. Oh, actually, I need to cut the tips off. That's important. Don't want the tips. The tips are, I mean, if you're just eating them raw, that's fine. But for something like this, you want it a little more, wrong enough. These a little better prepped. A little more elegant vegetables for a more civilized age. Kind of a lot of these beans. We may not use all of them. Just some. But that's a lot. So I think that'll be enough. Very long. I'm going to do this in thirds. So here are our carrots and beans, and we're just going to cover these in. I'm going to just use a paper towel and cook these for 1 minute. Meanwhile, so these will go off to the side. Again, I have a place for them later. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go ahead and put them in a container and put them back in the fridge. Slap! So I will do more with those later, but for now. Okay. Now we need to work on rolling these in the pan. So we're going to move that out of the way and get a new cutting board, because we're going to now move on to raw meat. So importantly, I toothpick. Let me grab my toothpicks. So we're basically going to put out some ham, or bacon rather, roll some vegetables in it, and then stick a toothpick into that. And then we're going to pan fry this. In fact, you go ahead and get started. Yeah, I'm going to... Do we need... sausage, fry the meat while we heat. That's saying just pan fry them without any oil. That's surprising. Let me double check here. All right. I'm just starting up the range on low. So our veggies are cooked. They're pretty hot, quite hot in fact. Good. So now let's get into this package. Now we're going to move into the raw meat zone. So basically, once I get started on this, I'm going to do everything I need to do here, and then move my hands off. I think a long, thin slice of pork. All right, so I think this is going to make sense. I don't need to cut the pork or the bacon any smaller. I'm going to drain that a little bit, make sure. Okay, good. There's no issues there. Come on. So opening both. Good, there we are. All right, so I have now contaminated my fingers with raw meat. This comes out, wow, this is very fatty bacon. Start over here, perhaps. This is going to shrink like crazy, which is what kind of worries me. But we'll see what happens. So now we take the vegetables, and we'll do, what are we looking at? We're going to do 3 each. And then just wrap that like this. See how this works. Right, and then, whoops. I'm going to take out some toothpicks without touching the container. And then we will, here's the mug, there we go. Alright, so there's our first nikumaki. Simply ham and vegetables. There's number 1. Let's do a few more of these. Our pan's starting to heat up. We're going to cook this over medium heat, so about 50% on your range, whether that's 3 out of 6, or 4 out of 8, or 5 out of 10. Different ranges have just different different ranges of those dials. So whatever's half, that's what you're going to cook in, they say. They claim here. All right, I'm going to try to go a little more careful here and make sure that this is nice and even. So you see we have vegetables on this side, vegetables on this side, nothing sticking out. Grab a toothpick. Skewer through. Don't skewer through your finger on the other side. All right. Continue on. By the way, not particularly healthy. So according to this, each meat roll is going to be about 740 calories, which is a lot. 740 calories. But you get a little bit of carrot and stuff in there, so that's good, right? Like, come on. Let's see. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. I'll do maybe 6 of these. We'll see. Again, make this nice. And again, this bacon is going to shrink as it cooks. So, note, I am getting raw meat all over these skewers. So, do not use them for anything else. Gotta get that toothpick through. Doesn't want to, but I'm going to make it happen. There we are. Okay. And we'll continue this. Once this is done, we will mix the teriyaki sauce with some sugar and put these in the pan, and then pour that sugar teriyaki sauce over this. that will become, I may have to waste some vegetables here. Hate to do that, but sometimes that's life. We'll see. Perhaps I will just use up all of these in our nikumaki. All right. Here's through. Here's the heavens. Yeah, maybe I'll just go ahead and I have another maybe 3 more with what's in here, 3 or 4. Maybe we'll just make use of everything we have. So there's 3 of those. 3 of those. I could also make a bigger nikumaki. Let's just go crazy. No, this needs to be even, right? Like you don't want to make some of these much bigger than the others because then they won't cook as quickly. You got something with much more mass than something else, and it's just not going to cook. So, or not going to cook through as quickly. So you're messing with multiple different foods. Just not a good idea. Different cook times, not worth it. All right. So yeah, we'll do probably 2 more here. Maybe we'll use a little more on this one, or one of them. We'll do this one by the book. Oh, you know what? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. Okay, yeah, I think we'll do this one and 2 more, and that should finish it out. Cool. I still don't know exactly what we're going to get here in terms of once this bacon cooks up, but we'll find out. That's part of the experimentation process. And ironically, it looks like we're going to get basically exactly as many toothpicks as these nikumaki. The rest of the bacon I will just have to throw away. I mean, there's no way I'll just cook and eat that, right? Yeah, right. Okay, so this goes here, wraps around here, and I'll try to make sure that that is even. Vegetables. Yeah, good. I have enough for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. 8 nikumaki. Now again, the problem here is this is a lot of calories, but that is life. Okay. I'm just going to use the rest of these in here. A little more carrots than the other ones, but I think they're smaller, so it'll work out. Wrap that up. And now we start on the nikumaki. Note to self, when you actually do this video, Brent, make sure that you speed all this up. All right. So, these are hands full of raw meat juice. They get clean now. Before I touch anything else, lots of soap and water. Then I'm going to, so I've had the pan on low, just to start it heating up. I'm going to increase it to medium. I can use some more soap there. As I get the rest of it going, the sauce. In fact, I think I'll reuse this for the sauce. It just has some vegetable stuff in there. That's fine. A little vegetable juice isn't going to hurt the sauce. So they're recommending a half cup of teriyaki sauce. I'm not sure how many of this it makes. A pound of pork. How much is this? So we've got maybe half a pound here. All right, so we need 1/4 of a cup of teriyaki sauce. I happen to have, there's 1/4 of a cup. So we will increase that heat. Move over to the other side so you can see that here in a minute. My teriyaki sauce I forgot to open. I'm going to do that. This is exciting television. Exciting stuff. You can see me open a bottle of teriyaki sauce. Might as well just shake that up. No point in half measures here. Oh, come on. Yeah, this is going to be... Yep. The little cap thing is all like glued on with super glue. Here it comes. Man, they make that hard. So yeah, this is exciting. Let's go ahead and pour that in to the bowl. Then we will add a tablespoon of sugar. And I might, no, I got a thing. For that we'll add 1 tablespoon of sugar. That will glaze it quite nicely, should. Of course, teriyaki sauce you can use for lots of other things, for meats and stuff. Well, we are using it for meat. Okay. So now we can transition over to the pan. So there's our pan. Here are our things there. Do we need to drain? It does not say. So we're going to just grab a plate and put it over to one side. We'll put it on the range top for now. That's fine. So I'm going to, so that's okay. Cook it until the meat becomes glazed with the sauce. This is called teriyaki style. All right. So again, they have not told me to oil the pan, just to put these on there. So smells good. Add the fan. Go over here. Fry the meat rolls on medium heat, then add the teriyaki sauce. So I'm assuming we want to get some like heat, we want to get some browning before we add the teriyaki sauce. It needs to be fried, then we add the teriyaki sauce. Then we cook until the meat becomes glazed with the sauce. So, I mean, I know bacon cooks pretty quickly. What I should do, I'll just add that for a minute, because that bacon grease is going to pop everywhere. So I'm going to let this go for like another 30 seconds. Flip them, let them cook there for another 30 seconds to 60 seconds. To do like a minute on each side. And that should get it, warmed up, starting to cook, but they're certainly not cooked. Let's see what we have now. Yep, they're starting to brown. I think this will work. We'll have to find out. Yeah, and boy, does this, it smells like cooking bacon. And we're cooking 8 slices of bacon. Jeez. Meanwhile, I can move a few things out of the way. I said, move a few things out of the way. Why is that not sitting there anymore? There we are. All right, I'm going to flip these. Yeah. They want to stick, as you might expect. All right. Good. Again, I'll let them go there for another few moments, and then toss some of these things into there while I can. Does teriyaki sauce need to go into the fridge, or is that shelf stable? Refrigerate after opening. Okay. Now, I'm gonna pour on this sauce. Oh baby. Oh man. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got some glazed teriyaki bacon here. Oh, that smell is amazing. Cook until the meat becomes glazed with the sauce. Well, we're practically there. I'm going to flip these again. Yeah, they benefit from a flip. I get the feeling it's going to nuke the pan, though. I mean, that pan is just going to get this brown sauce on it. I may lower. Cast iron gets real hot. I'm going to pour a bit more of this teriyaki sauce where I can. So medium for a cast iron skillet might be a little too hot for these, probably. I want to make sure that stuff gets fully cooked. What I'm concerned about is the sides. Like, obviously the top and the bottom are cooked, but not necessarily the sides there. And with the toothpicks in, I can't just roll them onto the side of toothpicks on. So we gotta let that cook. All right, so let that go over a little bit. They recommend cutting each roll in. Oh yeah, you cut each roll in half if you're using the larger pieces. But these would be a good size. All right, some sriracha sauce. Sounds good. All right, let me flip again. Yeah, that's definitely. Ooh. I'm going to move some of these out so the middle of the pan is almost always hottest. So I'm going to try to make sure, like this guy could probably use some time in there. Over there, over there. There we go. I wonder, oops, gotta be careful here. All right. Maybe. I think I can tip the pan and get some of this sauce down here at the bottom. The sauce is also probably some of the fat, the bacon fat. And so can I kind of, no, this is pretty much all fat. That's not really any of the sauce, so I can't really, okay, no luck there, fair enough. All right. I think another minute or two, so we don't kill it, but make sure it's heated all the way through, and it'll be good to go. All right. So basically looking to make sure that there's nothing still like that light pink of uncooked sausage, bacon, bacon. Like, I think we all know what bacon looks like when it's not cooked. The color and the texture changes and so forth. We just want to make sure we get there. It doesn't need to be completely it doesn't need to be dark or anything. Ooh, let's move that out of the way. That's a bit too close. Yeah, the middle of the pan's too hot for these. A little bit of burning there. I'm going to let that go for another minute or two. I'm just not quite convinced that they're cooked yet. I think a little bit longer, and we should be good to go. Right Right now we're at about 40% heat. That feels about right for this. Like it's definitely cooking. You can hear that sizzle, but it's not nuking the bottom of that bacon. And this is why perhaps a non-cast iron pan might be better for this. That cast iron is going to get so rocket hot. Maybe you'll get kind of you might have an easier time with a different pan. Who knows? All right. Yeah. I think we're good here. Yeah, we've got some unfortunate stuff down here. I'm actually going to go any further. 1 second to resolve that. Got some that stuff's starting to burn. I'm going to add some oil. And mix that around. And that will basically scrape off. So there's all that black gunk that we can now, well, should I go to the trash, or otherwise be taken care of. But by adding some oil, we break that off at the bottom of the pan. All right. And then we turn that off. I'm going to, well, in a moment, once this cools down a little bit, I'll scrape that off. In fact, let me just show you. I'm just going to scrape that and that. And there goes all of that stuff. Just scrape it off onto the pan. It's still very hot. So once that cools down a bit, you can pull it off the pan. All right, let's look at our nikomaki. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your nikomaki glazed. You can go ahead and remove the toothpicks. They stay together very well. Surprised me. Oh, that one fell apart. Man, look at that. Sign me up. Ooh, this one's, yeah. All right. Who wouldn't want some of that? Huh? Not bad. All right. That's nikomaki, ladies and gents. That's nikomaki. Ah, there we go. That's nikomaki. Thanks for joining us, and next week we'll move on to another part of Japanese cuisine. Hope you found this useful, and see you next time. See ya. All right, that ends our Talking No Cooking. So tendon that this is nikomaki, just basically bacon-wrapped vegetables. So the one that fell apart, I'm going to give it a try for that. Very greasy. Mmm. Mmm. Oh. Imagine bacon drizzled in maple syrup. There was some crunchy vegetables in it. Ah. Mmm. Obviously not the same taste as maple syrup, but the same texture, the same sweetness. Mmm. Yeah. That's amazing. Mm. Whoa. My tummy's happy. Mm. And as you saw, very easy. Just vegetables wrapped in bacon. Wow. But I mean, chopsticks. You want chopsticks for that, not fingers. Definitely. I was being very uncivilized with that. That will not go in the final video. My eating of the thing. Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's freaking amazing. Ooh. All right. Well, on that note, tomorrow night I will be starting. I'll be doing another episode of Kit Bash, and that will be probably a longer episode. I might start it earlier in the night as well. I want to make some good progress on that perfect grade Astray. So that may be like a 4-hour stream, something like that. I want to try to make that a long stream. And then Sunday will be another No Guns, No Swords video game. Haven't chosen it yet, but I have a couple downloaded, and we'll choose it Sunday. So trying to get set. So not sure when I'll start Kit Bash tomorrow, but in the evening. And then 7 p.m. Sunday will be the video game stream. Oh, next week I will be at Escape Velocity, an anime convention in Washington, near Washington, D.C. And I will still plan to do the live stream. I'm doing a panel like in Friday afternoon, and then other panels Saturday and Sunday. But I should have plenty of time for the live stream. Might be a shorter live stream than usual just because of the time to prepare. But yeah, that's the plan there. And we'll see how all that goes. So hopefully I will have more panels recorded from that convention. I'm doing like 6 panels. So hopefully I will be able to set up a camera. Evan will be coming with me, hopefully. And we'll be recording some panels there. So hopefully I'll have more of those to show. And we'll see how it goes. So the veggies taste good, Tonto. They're crisp and fresh and easy to eat. They're not soft. They're not hard. They're just crisp. And you can definitely taste them in there. So that's good. Normally you'd add asparagus in there too, by the way. But that is, yeah, I'm thumbs up on that one. So thank you all for joining me tonight. That'll do it for the live stream. And as I said, we'll be doing Kit Bash tomorrow and video games Sunday, and then the normal stuff. I should be able to do Drawing Inward on Tuesday. Hopefully I won't be sick. Workshop Wednesday, all that good stuff. So Workshop Wednesday, painting more minis this week. So thanks all. See you next week. Hope you have a great week. See you.